Hello, MFSN fans. We are here for the Hubs Waiver Wire Basketball Show, and I am joined, as always, by Vlad to the Bone, Casey Scheinvold. Casey, say hello to the
One
audience.
of Ross's Cowboys.
That's right. Now,
I'm like,
Ross is gonna be joining us later, so all you Cowboys are gonna have to wait for him to come in. But when he does, we've got things that we want to talk about because we're not just going to talk about waiver pickups this time. We've been talking about trade candidates towards the end of the show. We're probably going to get into that earlier, and we're going to hit on a trade that has a lot of things behind it. First of all, it all began with Casey. Casey came to me.
thank
He
you.
said, tell the story. Tell the story about it.
Well, this was, 2 weeks ago, I think. I was offered a trade I have Luka Doncic or Doncic, depending on, I guess, what day. I pronounce his name differently every time, on my team. And one of the other owners who was just, I think, looking to mix things up came to me and offered me Karl Anthony Towns straight up for Luka. And I really was interested in the trade, but I'm such a huge Luka fan. I just couldn't part with him. And so I was having a conversation with Dan, and I'm like, gosh, I just got offered this trade just because this owner wants to mix up the league, and it's really tempting, but I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger. And so Dan responds to me and says, really? He's willing to trade him? Maybe I'll trade him this player. So go ahead and tell him what happened.
Okay, so now LeBron James is my favorite player of all time, and it would be very hard to trade him. But I was eyeballing it, and I was like, LeBron, his numbers are a bit down. They don't tend to be as high because he turns the ball over a lot. He doesn't get enough blocks, and his free throw percentage is relatively low, and he shoots a lot of free throws.
And you also have James Harden on your team also. So you're getting a lot of those guard scoring points and some of the peripherals that come with the more perimeter-centric players. I didn't have another one of those players on my roster.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I needed rebounds. Now, LeBron gets plenty of rebounds, but Karl Anthony Towns, I needed rebounds and blocks. So Karl Anthony Towns gets rebounds and blocks. So we're going to talk more about that trade later. Ross, I know, wants to weigh in on it because he was very excited. He thinks that I did some kind of genius move, and we could talk about whether that's true or not. It may or may not be. So I do want to welcome Al Fraser to the show. He's saying hi. Good to see you, Al. Thanks for joining us again. If anyone out there hasn't already, and they would like to, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below.
And I'd also like to know, they can comment if they think I'm an idiot for not making the trade myself for Luka, because I still go back and forth with that.
That's right. We'll see. But Al Fraser's giving me a shout out. He says, yo, doctor. Casey's a doctor too, actually. We got two doctors on the show.
Oh my gosh.
When Ross gets here, the doctor ratio goes down.
Yes.
Everybody can feel that. So let's jump in now to some waiver wire pickups. I just want to comment again. This is Yahoo 60% and below. So that shifts all the time. And we've got certain guys that rise above that and they may drop off our list. That's why you're not going to hear about them. And then other guys who dip below. So we're going to start with point guards. Casey, give me a guy who's your number one point guard pickup.
I have 2 point guards on my list of people to pick up. There weren't a lot of point guards that I saw on the below 60% to me who were kind of must adds or really exciting. One is, of course, for some reason, McConnell, we need to get to a larger audience, I guess, because he's still only 50% owned. And he's been, I think, a repeat offender on this show for 2 months now. And then also Jordan Poole in Golden State is putting up some pretty good numbers. He's playing some pretty good minutes. He qualifies at both guard positions. So he's getting some good run there, and he's putting up, a decent amount of points. He doesn't turn the ball over very much, and he's playing how many minutes a game? Over 28 minutes a game. So, but those are the only 2 point guards who I really looked at in that range where we're limiting ourselves to, that I could see putting somewhere on your bench to give you some good minutes.
Okay, I'm going to add at least one, but I think you're right that those are some of the top ads. And Jordan Poole, he ranked 65th overall in Yahoo in the last 14 games. But one of the guys that I've had my eye on, and he's actually been on my team, is Tomas Satoransky on the Bulls. And the reason that I have him is he can pick up some cheap assists for you. And we are at the time of the season where it's all about the categories. And I feel silly saying that because generally it's always about it. But honestly, earlier in the season, you're trying to win 8-1. You're trying to pile up these numbers to make your playoff position better. Once you're in the playoffs, you win 5-4 or 6-3, it's the same.
Yeah. And as a Kobe White owner, who's supposed to be kind of the best point guard on the Bulls, who's very frustrated with Kobe White, I can see why that's a smart pickup too, because Kobe White hasn't been producing. So there's plenty of minutes for the other guards on the roster.
Now, I just want to let you know, Casey, Al Fraser has acknowledged your doctorhood. He says, "What's up, Dr. Case?" And he has a question for us. Do you think McConnell's numbers will drop because of LeVert? So let's start with that.
I do think they'll drop some. I think his minutes will probably diminish because there's going to be less minutes to go around. But he's so steady and reliable. LeVert, in my memory, because I haven't studied his numbers from this year yet, isn't the biggest of the assist guys. He's more of a scorer slasher type. And so it might actually help his assist to turnover ratio. Some of his assists there, he might not score nearly as much or take as many shots, but McConnell's not going to win you the championship. I don't think LeVert coming back tips the scales dramatically in either way for him.
I'm with you, Casey. I think, his numbers might go down some, but I've seen enough fantasy basketball to know that a guy like McConnell is probably here to stay, at least for back end value. He's not going to do he's not going to win you a league. Exactly.
And with 20 minutes a game, he could still get you 6 or 7 assists a game pretty easily.
Absolutely. Now, we're still in the middle of point guards, but Ross has arrived. Now, he was missing time. He was probably sitting with Mark Cuban or hanging out with David Stern or maybe having lunch with Michael Jordan. These are the kind of things Ross the Boss does. And we never know what's going to happen, but he's here. We're going to bring him in as soon as technology allows. And here he is.
Oh, wow.
Ross the Boss. Oh, this is amazing. He came in, but he was bending.
You guys, you know what? I'm Ross the Boss, and I can't wait to talk waiver wire with you. The reason I'm late, it's been a lot of trades going on the past 24 hours. You guys, I'm trying to keep you updated. I'm sending you crazy texts. There's a lot more talks going on as we speak. It's unbelievable. It's a great day for basketball. It's going to affect your fantasy lineup a lot. I've been waiting for this day for months because a lot of players are not even playing because of the deadline. Like Andre Drummond and Cousins and so many guys are just sitting around waiting for today to happen. It's here.
This is the day. So, Ross, I want to update you on where we are, and we'll update the audience as well.
Very good. I'm ready.
We started in on point guards. So far, I mentioned Tomas Satoransky as a back-end guy.
Oh, I like him. That's a good one.
Cheap assists. Casey brought up Jordan Poole, who's been playing really well.
Jordan Poole, I have him down as a shooting guard and a point guard. Poole's been unbelievable. We'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to shooting guards, but Poole's a great one. I like that a lot. And
of course, we've already done the TJ McConnell watch. So now I'm just going to bring up DeAnthony Melton is still very much on my radar. Maybe a back end guy, but he's showing a lot of upside. So Ross, if you're prepared, because you just came,
I'm always prepared. I'm never not prepared. I'm like a Marine. I come prepared. You know, I was really upset because one of my favorite players got hurt. LaMelo Ball, excuse me, got hurt. He broke his wrist. He's out for the year. Rookie of the year. He could still win it. We'll see what happens. But he's gone. So taking his spot and who's scoring points is Malik Monk. Monk's going to get those minutes. He's going to get those points. If you need a point guard / shooting guard, Malik Monk could be your guy. Another guy that I love that we talked about before, but I think the Knicks are going to make a lot of moves and trade a lot of players, and it's going to help this player is Emmanuel quickly. Say that 5 times, Dan. So quickly is going to get a lot more playing time. He's averaging like 15 points a game right now in the past 2 weeks. He's been playing great, but he's going to get more playing time and more points and more rebounds and assists because I feel Peyton's going to be moved out. I feel a couple more players for the Knicks going to be moved out to make room for Victor. What's his name for the Houston Rockets?
Oladipo.
Victor Oladipo. I can never say his name. Victor Oladipo, I think, is going to be traded today. I think it's going to be the Knicks, which is going to, for a lot of point guards going to Houston. So that's going to be a trade. You'll see Ross the Boss nailing that in a few hours. But that being said, those two guys kind of tip my scales of point guard. I think that's the weakest position for me for this waiver wire.
Wow.
Totally agree.
But this is big. You're saying Oladipo to the Knicks. That's what you
think so. The Knicks want to make a run. They're having a season where they can make the playoffs for the first time in how many years, Casey? I don't know.
It's been a long time.
It's Walt Frazier. I don't know.
It feels like it was John Starks and Patrick Ewing the last time.
In Oakley. And remember that team? That was unbelievable.
That was a great team.
That I may have been. I can't remember.
I don't know. It's been years. But so they're in the playoff hunt. I think they'll make some moves. There's some big time players, and I've been updating you guys like crazy. I mean, I'm sorry for all the texts, but I just wanted the audience to hear some of the trades and how they can affect their fans.
I mean, to get to the, not to get off topic for a minute, but it brought me back to the image of it. Was it Van Gundy hanging on to Alonzo Mourning's leg in a playoff game or something like that?
Yeah,
that was the most ridiculous
thing
I've seen in basketball.
Like a little squirrel on a horse.
That was great. Unbelievable memory, Casey. But again, I think Quickly is going to really benefit from the trades. We'll see what happens.
All right. I just want to say a quick hello to Sam Jacobowitz. He's one of our all-time chat members. Welcome. You have a baseball question, but we're going to try to stick basketball. So I'll answer your baseball question later for you, Sam. I promise. Now, any other point guards that we need to say before we move on to shooting guard? I have one that I want to ask you guys about. And I do want to say this. We're often repeating names at this point, but we need to tell you the names anyway. This is about getting the best players available. But sometimes we're going to try to bring up names that are off your radar and bring them in. So one of my guys is Ty Jerome on OKC. He's getting 26 minutes a game. He's ranked 111th overall in the last 14 days. I'm not sure I'm sold on him yet. Anyway, but he's got 21 3-pointers made in the last 14 days. Seems like he could be a useful player. What do you guys think?
I love it just because their best player is out for like a while.
SGA just got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you that, guys. I sent that information. You guys, I mean, he's out for a long time. So Jerome's going to be another guy that's going to pick up the point scoring. So I like that pickup. How many people own him in our league? I mean, how many people own him in Yahoo? Do you know?
He is 8% owned.
Wow,
just 8%.
8%.
Now, wait. Let's put this in context though, because there are leagues that are 10-team leagues. In a 10-team league, Ty Jerome's not going to be owned, but we're in a 12-team league. In a 12-team league, 8%. He's a guy you may want to snatch up.
No, it's a great one. I love it, especially OKC.
Let's move to shooting guard. You guys can always jump back to point guard if you have somebody. Ross, we'll start with you since you came in late. And by the way, we started talking about my LeBron trade. We're going to get to that later. We saved it.
Oh, that was genius. I gave you so much credit on that. It was unbelievable.
We saved that for you. We'll get to it.
As you guys mentioned, you mentioned Jordan Peele. He 26 points the last game, 25 points the game before. Jordan Peele. That's funny. I said Jordan Peele. He's an actor. Jordan Poole.
Funny too.
Went to the University of Michigan. He's a second year, had a horrible rookie season. I think I said that before. This guy, I know Curry's hurt. I know he's getting a lot more playing time because Curry's not in there. Don't write the letters saying Ross the boss, Curry's hurt. That's why he's going. He's going to get a lot more playing time. This guy's shooting lights out. He's 50% like shooting on the field goals right now. He's unbelievable. So Jordan Poole, I almost said Peele again. You almost got me, Casey. You're not going to get me. Jordan Poole is a great pickup. And again, he can play point guard or shooting guard. Another guy that Casey loves, and this guy's
I do.
And this, you love this guy. You mentioned him a million times. I wouldn't say his name this time because his Ohio State Buckeyes left the tournament already. Is Deshaun Tate. Say that 5 times.
Jayshawn Tate.
Thank you. Jayshawn Tate with the J. He's been unbelievable. He's been scoring a lot of points in the past 6 games. He's been averaging like 17 points a game. But on top of that, he's been playing like 31 minutes a game for Houston. And we all know Houston is a team that's in a youth movement. So I'll be mentioning a lot of Rockets today just because a lot of Rockets are not taken right now in your leagues. And these guys are going to have to fill the gaps and get playing time. So the only guy that the veteran they have is like John Wall. Everybody else is like under 22.
No,
it's an unbelievable thing. So right now, and I mentioned this guy before, and he has the longest last name of any player I've ever seen. His jersey, it says Alexander Walker. Is Nicholas Alexander Walker? Lamar Ball is going to be traded. Alonzo Ball. Get them all. I get all these guys mixed up.
There's so many. Sure.
I apologize. So Alonzo Ball, the rumor is he might be a Laker. He might come back to the Lakers. Who knows? He might be a Clipper. He might go somewhere else. But supposedly he's going to be traded. Alexander Walker is going to be taking his place at point guard. And this kid, well, if he gets playing time, it's a great pickup right now to pick him up because he'll be the feature point guard right now for that team, and they desperately need a point guard. So
New Orleans also has that rookie from Alabama. Is it Kira Lewis Jr. or something like that? Who's a really talented, their first round pick. So he might get some run in that too.
Yep, and this is a time where you got to look for the rookies to come in, and they might get a lot of playing time. Especially
that's why I was kind of late. I was watching the trade. I was seeing what was going on in trades. I just want to get the latest information from my audience. So there you go.
Yeah, listen, Ross is secretly the GM of the Houston Rockets, but don't tell anyone, even though we're sharing it on this.
But who else do you guys like in shooting?
Well,
guard?
let me first say we have a comment from Al Fraser. He's saying Alec Burks' minutes going up. He's hitting.
I was going to mention him. I've listened to Ross and Dan kind of rail against him at various points in the season because he is very inconsistent. But that brings up an important point. Alec Burks is one of the streakier players, I think, and he's pretty much a points guy. So right now you can ride that hot wave as long as you don't have to rely on it to last into your playoffs if you're making the playoffs here in the next couple of weeks. Somebody I really want to mention is somebody we've talked about plenty before. It's Average Joe. I mean, he's been playing amazing the last 2 weeks, and his numbers are incredible. Joe Ingles. I'm sorry. We always call him Average Joe.
It's okay. No, I like that. I just want to make sure the audience knows. I know you're talking about, Case.
He's been playing really well. You got I have Reggie Bullock from the Knicks is also playing really well. So there's a couple players there, and then from your Clippers there, Ross. Kennard's been putting up pretty good numbers.
Oh, did you see that game? Last game, they were down to Atlanta by like 25 points.
He just started
Kennard
shooting.
comes in, shoots a half-court shot, puts that in right before the fourth quarter. 8 for 8 on the field, 20 points, unbelievable. Yep. Brought the Clippers back. They win the game without Leonard and George playing like main minutes. They come in at the end and win the game for him. But it doesn't matter. I agree with you. I like Kennard. He just needs to be in the rotation. I just wish.
And I think this will get him in there more.
I hope. I hope you're right.
Okay, now I'm going to bring up another guy. I brought him up last week. I think it was the first time I brought him up. But on the Sixers, Matisse Thybulle. Yep. This guy is a very unusual pickup.
He's a steal specialist.
He's a steals and block specialist. He's like something we've never quite seen.
And he's getting more playing time too. I was
props to Ross because Ross mentioned him 3 or 4 weeks ago. So
yeah, but still, I mean, he's like he's getting more playing time. The Sixers are, as we know, the Sixers are hurt. I mean, they have a lot of players that aren't playing right now, just like Brooklyn. But I think that's a good pickup especially if you need defensive help. That's a great one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Josh Richardson, 55% rostered. We talked about this last week for the first time. Jalen Noel on Minnesota. This is another young team. He could be getting some run. He's only owned in 7% of leagues.
7%.
But Alec Burks is he's a guy I'd pick up, just like Casey said, for a hot streak.
And Dan, your guy, one of the greens for Philadelphia, is it Danny or Denny? Which green is in Philly right now?
Danny.
Oh, Danny. Danny Green is a former coach at Arizona Cardinals. They were who we thought they were. Okay.
But he's been shooting lights out from 3 lately. So
and defensively, he's terrific too. It's that's a good pickup. He was on my list. I think I might as a small forward though.
Okay, well
he qualifies at both.
Why don't we jump to small forward then? So Ross,
go for it.
Go ahead and start.
So you mentioned his name. I have him on my team. I just got to give him props. I mean, Sadiq Bey, he's a rookie, which is now he could be rookie of the year. Who knows? With Ball hurt, he could take the place. But this guy's been getting 20 points a game, over 10 rebounds a game. He's been on a huge streak. He's another guy, KC and Dan. He's a streak player. I mean, but again, he's been playing terrific. I like him a lot. We mentioned Josh Hart. It's another guy. If you need rebounds, Josh Hart is your guy. He's over 7 rebounds a game right now for the season, which is great. Another guy that I love is KJ Martin Jr. for Houston. He's a rookie. You remember his dad, but I feel KJ Martin, I call him KJ, but Kenyon Martin Jr., excuse me.
He was awesome at Cincinnati.
Hey, Yahoo calls him KJ Martin Jr., so you're not.
We call him KJ Martin. So KJ went to school right near me. Same, unbelievable school. That's where LeBron James's son goes. But saying all that, I feel KJ Martin could get a lot of playing time if Victor gets sent away today, which he probably will be. So KJ Martin's a great pickup right now.
Actually, I want to piggyback on that because he was going to be one of my number one guys I mentioned at small forward because both of his shooting percentages are great, and he gets steals and blocks. His minutes are going up. His points are good. there's a lot to like in there, and his rebounds are good too. So I think he's way up there on the pickup list. I also did want to say a lot of the guys we mentioned at shooting guard are these shooting guard small forwards. And as we know, I love those because you can plug them into any guard position, or not any guard position, but the random guard position and the random forward position. So these are good guys to have. In our league, actually, Brandon Clark got waived. Now he's 69% roster, so he doesn't technically fit in this, but I don't believe that he should have been waived.
No, he's playing great. I didn't know he was waived. I have to check that out.
Yep, you got to pay attention to your wire.
We do, but I don't pay attention till Sunday night because, as you know, we only do waiver wire once a week, so I don't really pay attention to waiver until Sunday night. But there you go. Another thing that we didn't talk about yet is LeBron James is hurt, and he's not going to play for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that makes
so now. So now we're sitting around saying, did you see Lakers get destroyed a couple nights ago by New Orleans? Now I'm sitting around thinking, who's going to take LeBron's spot? There's not going to be anybody, but I do like Horton Tucker, THT we call him. THT had not a great game against New Orleans, but I feel he's a guy that qualifies as a small forward, and I feel that he can maybe pick it up and score points, get rebounds and assists. So if you have room for him in your roster, it could be a great chance to pick him up right now.
Yeah, and we'll see if that THT name sticks. I'd like to call him Fit. I just think it's not the kind of name that people use all the time.
Just don't put him in the same backcourt as Thibault, because that would just be tough.
Fit and Thibault, that would be pretty hard. So I am still shocked that Sadiq Bey is only owned in 35% of
it's because he plays in Detroit. No one respects these small market teams. No one wants to watch the Detroit Pistons play and say, I got to watch this game because I have in my fantasy league. I mean, can you imagine doing that? I mean, no.
Well, let me mention a couple that have already been mentioned before we move on. So Kevin Huerter, he's really continuing to come on. He's exactly at 60% rostership. Dylan Brooks just completely lit up the game the other night. He's on my team, which is great. Justin Holiday we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
So there's tons of names that we've covered before. Let's move on to power forward. Casey, we're going to start with you this time.
I have a few. I'll see if I have anybody new. I mean, Jay Crowder is small forward, power forward. He's been putting up good numbers all year long. He continues to do that. Kelly Olynyk, we've talked about certainly early in the season. He went through a little bit of a rut there in the midway point of the season, but he seems to have picked it up again.
And I love Kelly. Casey, let me just say something.
Sure.
He's averaging like over 30 minutes a game now. They're giving him a lot of playing time. He's playing great. That's a great pickup. We did talk about it last week, but doesn't matter. It's a great pickup. Keep going.
I think somebody we're going to talk about more when we talk about the trades that have broken today is there's going to be a lot of new playing time in Orlando because they seem to have done a fire sale and are going to give
you see all those trades?
those young guys a chance. And Chuma Okeke is a power forward there who put up a good game, I think last night or the night before. And certainly with
what's his name? Chuma Okeke.
Chuma Okeke.
Where did that guy go to college?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look. But and then I don't know if Kem Birch only plays center or if he's power forward and center, but those two guys with the trades of Vucevic and Fournier, and I think even Gordon was traded.
Gordon was too. Yeah, you're 100% right.
There's going to be a lot of minutes to go around for those guys, and they're very low ownership. They certainly can help your roster if you're dealing with injuries or dealing with a lack of production amongst your bigs.
I think that's a great analysis. And Ross, you name a couple if you want. You pretty much covered my list. Carmelo Anthony is somebody we've talked about before. I
have a few we mentioned before, but I still like Doug McDermott. He plays for the Indiana Pacers. He's scoring points. Every time I think he's done because another player comes back from injury, this guy comes out and scores 20 points. So if you need a point scorer, he's not going to do anything defensively for you. If you need a point scorer and you're in a deep league, Doug McDermott could be a great pickup for you. Another guy that we talked about a little bit is Danielle House Jr. for Houston, another Houston player.
You are all about those Rockets.
I have to, because he's averaging in the past 6 games, he's averaging 12 points a game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, almost a block a game. He's somebody that's a rookie. I think he's a rookie too. If he's not, he's a very young guy. But that all being said, he's somebody that's going to fill in for one of these traded guys, and he's going to get 30, 35 minutes a game. So Daniel House Jr. for the Houston Rockets could be a great pickup. And they broke their losing streak. They're winners now. So you got to pick him up. Another guy that Dan loves when I bring this up, because he'll watch what happens when I say his name and Dan will say something. Ready? Hassan Whiteside.
Hassan. Oh my God! But it's Hassan. Hassan Whiteside.
Hassan Whiteside.
He's going to break out eventually, but it might happen next year.
I feel he'll be traded today, and I feel he'll go to the Lakers. The Lakers need a lot of help with rebounds, and they need help with their big man too. And that all being said, I feel Whiteside's going to be a Laker. I don't know for sure. I don't know what the Lakers have to give up, but we'll see. Maybe
they can also get DeAndre Jordan, can't they?
Maybe, I don't know. I'd love to have DeAndre back in LA. But that all being said, I think Whiteside, if he's available in your league, just pick him up today. See what happens with the trade deadline. And if he goes to a different team and he plays 25, 30 minutes a game, Dr. Dan Ratner again will be called a genius. So we'll see what happens.
That's right. And if it happens during playoff time, look, all Whiteside needs is to move to a new place, and then he starts playing like the supernova Whiteside. So I agree with that. So let's jump to centers now. I want to mention this is a guy you brought up last week, I believe, Ross, Moses Brown.
Yep.
Moses Brown. He's Jewish.
Talk about him.
Yep. He's Jewish. He went to UCLA. He's like, I think he's 20 years old. He's 7'2". And his UCLA Bruins are doing great in the tournament. Can you imagine if they had Moses Brown playing at UCLA right now? And they would be like unbelievable. I mean, they would probably win the tournament if they had Moses Brown on the team.
I know.
Now he's in Houston.
I just don't like the team he's on in our league.
Well, I'm sorry about that. There's little I can do about it, but
yes, you can. You can drop him.
No, I won't. See, here's the thing. I picked him up because he was the best player available, even though I have Enes Kanter and I also have Karl Anthony Towns. So I don't actually have a place to play him, but I know that Enes.
And how did you get Karl Anthony? How did you get Karl Anthony Towns?
Let's get back to it.
Because I gave him to him.
Let's get back to it. So yeah, Ross, I don't even know if you know this part of the story. And we talked about this before. So there's a review for people out there. And speaking of you out there, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below because we'd love to talk with you on the comment board. But Casey actually was offered a deal for Karl Anthony Towns, and it was Luka Doncic. And he said, no, I don't think I can do that. But he mentioned it to me, and I said, ooh, wait a minute. I saw LeBron's numbers dipping. LeBron's numbers over the last maybe 30 days at the time I did the deal, he ranked like 63rd or something. LeBron is my favorite player of all time, just a great person as far as I'm concerned. But, I was like, I needed rebounds and blocks more than I needed what LeBron brings. And so Ross, you'll say I'm a genius for trading him before he hurt his ankle, but that was just luck.
So what happened was, let me tell the audience, what happened was a week before he hurt his ankle, Dr. Dan traded LeBron for Karl Anthony Towns, who hasn't played much at all this season. So his stock was kind of down. I didn't say anything. I was nervous. I didn't want to rain on his parade. I think Dr. Dan was happy he did the deal. A week later, LeBron goes down. He has a high ankle sprain. He's not going to play for at least a month, or at least until the playoffs start. And now Dr. Dan looks like a genius, which he is.
And I appreciate that, Ross, but I also want to go ahead of the curve and clear my name. I did not hurt LeBron. That's not what happened. Not what happened. So, guys, are there any other centers we should mention before we talk about guys to target in trades? Speaking of the trade deadline and LeBron and all that.
I got a couple cases. If you don't, okay.
The only one I got is one of Ross's Clippers. Zubac is suddenly, I think, relevant again. He's grabbing some rebounds for you, so he can help you as a big. He's getting some good minutes, 25 minutes a game the last 2 weeks, and his percentages are solid. So he's one. We've danced around him a lot this waiver wire season because he'll tease you with a good game and then not do much, but LA is so desperate for some big man numbers. As soon as he starts putting them up, his minutes will go up like crazy. And it seems like he's playing a little better the last couple of weeks.
All right, Ross, take us out.
I have a couple, in Los Angeles, the Lakers, I'm not talking Clippers, talking the Lakers, two of their biggest names went down. LeBron James, we just talked about, and Anthony Davis. So who's going to take their plays? Is it you, Casey Scheinfeld? Is it you, Dr. Dan Ratner? No.
I don't think rebounds would be my strength.
But Cleef Morris, who's a twin of a Clipper named Senior Morris. McLeaf Morris has been playing like 25 minutes a game, 16 points a game the past week, 5 assists. He's playing really well. This guy's stepping it up. He looks great. So if you need a center, which is hard to find centers in your league, McLeaf Morris, it's a streaker. He's just until Anthony Davis comes back. But McLeaf Morris is another guy that I love. He plays for the Sixers. And I said last week, oh, get Dwight Howard. Embiid's out. Dwight Howard's going to get all the playing time. Ross the Boss was wrong again. How was he wrong? A guy named Tony Bradley came in. Tony Bradley played 30 minutes a game. He did like a double, 16 points, 11 rebounds. Tony Bradley's getting a lot of playing time at center for the Sixers. And that being said, if you need a center, he's a streaker. He's a streaker, which means Embiid comes back, he'll get less playing time, but doesn't matter. Tony Bradley is a guy that's not really wanted.
I think
you're going to take this one or me.
I think of Frank the Tank from Old School when he says that. We're going streaking.
We have to clarify. There's a difference between a streamer and a streaker.
I said streaker just to get you guys, make sure you're listening.
You
one more name
I like the word
streaker.
I like the word streaker better than streamer. I know what I said.
Just one more name. I'm not going to talk about him much, but Maxi Kleber right now in Dallas is shooting a lot of threes. And hitting them apparently because his percentages are good, and he qualifies a power forward and center. So if you need some of those, again, specialist numbers going into the playoffs, he's a good one you can put in later in your week if you don't need rebounds and some of the defensive metrics, but you need to catch up in a category.
He's also really interesting because he shoots threes and blocks. That's a very weird combination, and it may be the combination you need. Okay, let's talk about trade targets. Couple guys, listen, it can be anybody. Could be the best player in the league, but maybe they're way down or maybe they're injured. Who are some of the guys that you think we should go out and have our audience steal because their value is lower or they're going to be available for one reason or another? Ross, you start us off.
I mean, Gary Trent Jr. was traded away. We talked about him a million times on our Waiver Wire show. That teams to me, he was traded because I think CJ McCollum is coming back. CJ hasn't played in a while. Maybe he did play. I didn't even notice. That doesn't matter. His stock is way down. And we remember how great he was at the beginning of the season. He was carrying that team more than Dame Lillard. So I think CJ McCollum, if you can get him, good price for your playoff run, he could be a great pickup for you for the playoffs. It'd be unbelievable.
I like that.
I like that a lot too. I was thinking, I don't know when Anthony Davis is coming back.
3 weeks.
Okay, so before the playoffs start, but the owner in your league might need some immediate help to get to the playoffs. So it could be somebody you could steal that. If you can add him as your power forward center when you start the playoffs, it would be like a major coup. So his value could be low and he could be attainable. You got the Nurkic is another one who hasn't come back yet. And they say he's ready to come back, but for some reason I haven't seen him playing much. So players like that, I think LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm looking mostly at bigs, as you can tell, because I think that's what my team needs right now. But I look for players who may be coming off of injury or aren't scheduled to come off of injury until the playoffs start in your league. And the owners may be desperate to get some stats filled in there so they can at least make the playoffs.
Let me throw out a different kind of idea to trade for, and it always depends on the time of the season. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out. He's without a timetable for return. You can probably get him for peanuts because we're coming up to a place where in 3 weeks, most leagues playoffs starts. Is he going to come back at all? Listen, I would guess probably not. But if you can get him, you can just stick him on your injured list. He could be back for a championship run. These are the kind of guys that you just want to scoop up for cheap. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but he's a guy I would be looking at.
If you have the depth, yeah, I think that's a smart play. And especially if players like Joe Ingles are available who can get you some really good statistics for the next, or Sadiq Bey, another one we've talked about, who can get you some SGA light sort of statistics until the playoffs start. It's certainly worth the risk.
You know what? That also brings up that if you are the SGA owner, it might be a good idea to sell him for something, because you can play both sides of that. You always want to just think of which side can you play based on who you have. So I think also Pascal Siakam, I think continues to come on. Your window for buying him might be gone already, but he's a guy that I would want to scoop up if I could.
And also Fred VanVleet. I mentioned his name before. He's way undervalued right now. Toronto's making a lot of roster moves right now. If you guys didn't know that, with the trade deadline coming up, Fred VanVleet I love with 3-pointers, shooting percentage, assists. He does it all. This undrafted guy who just signed a huge deal, he's somebody that you should really consider trying to trade for.
Another guy that I'm looking at, and sometimes it's just guys to look at. I'm not necessarily saying do this, but Kemba Walker is a guy whose value is down. And really? Part of it's because he's been out for so long, buried in the numbers. His total numbers are not going to be very good. His average numbers are still looking very Kemba Walker-like. And so I think he's a guy that you want to think about as well. All right, guys, we have a couple minutes here to wrap up on anyone else that we think we should send our audience to run and buy or to sell. Either way. Casey, you got anybody?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, if Evan Fournier has been playing pretty well lately for Orlando. He's been putting up really good numbers, but he just got traded to Boston, where he's going to be competing with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart. And so there's not going to be I think his value, unfortunately, I own him, but his value is going to take a nosedive here for the remainder of the season. So that's somebody who, if you can get good value for, or even decent value for, I would look to trade him.
All right. You know what, Ross, I'm going to throw it back to you in a second, but
let me just read some of the trades that happened today. Let me just read some of the trades, and you guys can pawn it. You guys, the Orlando Magic they traded away Evan Fournier to the Boston Celtics for a pair of second-round picks. So Fournier is now on the Celtics, which is interesting. The Cleveland Cavs, who I know a big Cleveland Cav fan, is on the show right now, is finalizing a deal with veteran McGee, the center, to go to Denver, which is a huge upswing for Denver. That'll be great. Orlando Magic, Aaron Gordon's gone. They're trading it to Denver for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a first-round pick. That will help Denver tremendously. Denver's making a lot of key moves here. They must really think they may have a playoff team here. The Toronto Raptors traded away Norman Powell. We talked about him before, and for exchange for Gary Trent and Rodney Hood. What do you guys think about that deal?
As the Gary Trent owner, I love it because
you must. Detroit Pistons are trading away Dion Wright to the Sacramento Kings for Corey Joseph and a couple second-round picks. And again, I think the bigger trades will happen later today, so make sure you guys watch ESPN.
Well, and you missed, you failed to mention one big trade, which was Vucevic being traded to the
Bulls. I
from
forgot
the
about that one. You're right.
For Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, and I believe 2 first-round picks. So
I mean, I totally think Chicago got the better. Chicago got a great score.
Yeah, that's great for them.
That's a great trade for Chicago.
And for Vucevic. I mean, I think that's going to be great for his
Levine and Levine and him on the same team. That's unbelievable.
They're definitely on the way up. So I'm going to finish up on one fantasy because that's NBA, which has of course effects on fantasy. But I'm also going to say this. This is a little bit of a hot take, but I think you can deal Luka Doncic. I think it's time
for Karl Anthony Towns. Is that what you're looking?
It could be for Karl Anthony Towns, but
we could do this deal right now.
I won't do it for that. Hey, I'm saying to sell him. I'm not buying him. So I just think he's a little overvalued. So this is something we can.
He's
debate.
having a bad year for him.
Let's debate it in the comments.
He's an MVP candidate. What are you guys talking about? He's unbelievable.
What's his?
He doesn't block shots. He doesn't steal.
What are you guys talking? No, I disagree.
Hold on.
No.
All right.
Luka's unbelievable. I love watching that kid
We're
play.
all going to duke this out in the comments now because it is time for us to wrap up. But I do want to say this. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. Am I right? Is Ross right? Who's right about Doncic?
And well, he's killing my team for free throw percentage. That's for sure. He's ranked 22nd on Yahoo for the season. Preseason, he was number 2. So he's still a good player, but he's not a fantasy MVP right now.
I think you can trade him for like Dame Lillard and you do it. Absolutely. All right. You heard it here first. We're going to keep debating it. Thank you guys for watching. It has been a pleasure. We look forward to seeing you in the comments and next week, same time.
Buy any case of Gilcliff, the clean energy drink, and get dinner for 2 on the moon. Go to Gilcliff.com.
Offer valid, totally valid. Transportation balloon not included. Dinner not to exceed $50 or moon dollars, whichever is less at the time of redemption. We have no idea what the currency exchange rate is on the moon. We totally made that part up. They sound cool, but there's no such thing as moon dollars. But it would be neat if there were. Gilcliff, big on huge in space, created by a Navy SEAL for people who aren't Navy SEALs. The official energy drink of Space Force and other people who aren't Navy SEALs. The biggest no-brainer in the history of drinks.